So this video is about quitting smoking weed. So, I have over the last few decades had a love-hate relationship with the marijuana plant. I mean, I've certainly smoked a lot of weed with my friends. It's something that you do, like having a drink or whatever. But I mean, it's just, and it's been fun at times, right? But I mean, I've finally reached a point in my life where I'm ready to let it go. And it's taken a lot to arrive at such a place. And so basically what it is I've realized that it's just not worth it because of the if you have something that you need to do in life, and arguably, I mean, most people do. I mean, in general, life requires constant attention to so many details. I mean, to for it to run smoothly, right? I mean, I don't know if you don't have, yeah, I mean, responsibilities and stuff like that. It's a big deal, like being an adult and stuff like that. And so the thing is I've realized that because I've in many times I've taken extended breaks from smoking weed. I've stopped for years at a time, and then I would start again. And it's, there, of course, it is enjoyable. I mean, you get high, like it's a part of partying. It's a thing that you can do on the beach, having fun, sitting in the sun late at night, first thing in the morning with a coffee, like there's every reason and no reason why not, but there is if you think about it. And so for myself, what I've come to is like, because I am in a place in my life where I am applying myself. It's like, hey, I can be doing a lot better than I'm doing right now. I could be, I need to work out my job and like just my entire situation, everything that I'm doing requires attention, and I can do it, but not certainly if my head is in the clouds, if I'm escaping from reality and I'm getting caught up. Because when you smoke weed, I don't know, I've always found that I would always find myself involved in certain kind of impulsive behaviors that weren't me, but because I was on drugs, it was something I would do, like, eating when I'm not even hungry, and binge eating, and like binging on like movies and stuff like that, staying up late and sleeping in. And it's just like, this, it's super counterproductive. I mean, it's fun for a moment, right? But then it becomes this thing of dependency and and like an addiction. And so many times I've stopped, right? And so I'm at a place in my life right now where I in general am sober 90% of the time, but I've still allowed myself to go hang out with buddies, and say like every few months or something like that, I would smoke weed for a little bit, right? And that has been my cycle for a little while. But what I've come to realize is that every time I start smoking weed again, because I've stopped for such a long time, I don't want to just have a puff and put it down. I want to be like, I think of it as like, I have an animal inside of me, and I cage him up. And so when I let him run out, he doesn't want to go back into his cage after being locked up for so long. He likes to kind of run free for a bit. And so, it's not just one day, it turns into, a few days or something like that. Then it to the point where it's like, okay, this has to stop. This isn't helping anything that I'm doing at all. Spending time getting high, whether it's with friends or alone. It's just like, this is not serving me in my life at all right now. And so what I've learned is that so when you when you smoke weed, like, or no, so like when you, so if you decide to stop, so it's like it takes time to start, and then you do it, and then to get to stop. You know, for me, that might be a week or something like that. So there goes a week of not being anywhere near as productive and like paying attention to the things that are really I fall behind on absolutely everything that I would normally be doing like clockwork because I'm high, you know, I'm doing drugs and it, yeah, I mean, it's a path anyways. And so then reaching the point of wanting to stop, it's like, and it takes some discipline. It takes an amount of what do you call it, I don't know, fortitude, you know, like you need resolve. You need to get to this point where you're just like, okay, I am done with that. This is not helping anything. This is interfering with really the things that I'm going to do in my life that are actually going to get me to where I would like to go ultimately, right? So it's like this is not a good practice for me in my life. And so you get to that point, and then when you stop, and then it takes days, you know, like going through marijuana withdrawals. In general, it takes about 10 days, but the first 3 days are rough. The first day is not bad because you still have an amount of THC floating around in your system. You're just kind of mellow and you're okay. But on the second day, because it is it's a stimulant and it releases dopamine and stuff like that, or whatever, that it does, and then all of a sudden you don't have that, and then you start feeling not as good anymore. And then of course all that you want to do is smoke weed, but you can make it past those few days. I call it the Jesus principle, where it's like I die for 3 days and then I'm reborn. And then after that 3 days, because you've been essentially, like, your body has a system in it called the endocannabinoid system. And so cannabis has been around for thousands of years, millions of years. But in the 80s, the scientists discovered a system within the human body which became known as the endocannabinoid system, because they saw that like THC and CBD, there are essentially receptors for it in your body, and that's what they bind to. That's why we can work with this plant, and it has this psychoactive effect on us, right? And so this endocannabinoid system is responsible for things like mood regulation and sleep regulation. And so when you start artificially inducing artificially not inseminating, but like when you introduce these chemicals, so your body makes its own chemicals, it makes its own hormones and stuff like that, it self-regulates, it's part of the system. But when you start taking a substance, so supplementing that, then your body stops producing those things. And then so of course when you stop supplementing it, you go through a period of time where your body has to readjust, and it has to start essentially creating those substances as normal. And this is very similar to how people who take anabolic steroids, like for building mass and whatnot, like gym, building muscles, if you take those steroids, because it's testosterone, for a man, it will make your testicles shrink to the size of peanuts, because it gives a signal to your body, we don't need to create testosterone anymore. So this is the thing, like, I would never put that stuff in my body. I mean, like that's one of the side effects, one of many side effects. But people still do it. But anyways, and so it's the same thing with the cannabis. You know, like when you take CBD and THC and you put it in your body, and it, you know, and then you stop, and then your body has to start creating these things. And then for myself, there's always a night of insomnia. And it's just the worst when you lie there all night and cannot get to sleep because you went and messed with your body's chemistry, and now you're paying the price, you know? And then even like further down the road, so you get through that night of insomnia, and then you start sleeping again, and you start getting deeper sleeps again. It's a problem with the weed. You know, yeah, you can smoke a joint and then go to sleep, but you don't get that deep sleep because your mind is occupied. It's like you're unable to like completely detach. Whereas like you end up having more shallow sleep, so where like you dream as opposed to being fully unconscious, where you completely unplug, and then that is where you get that really deep sleep that really refreshes you. I mean, yeah, and that's what is important, right? And so, you know, and then afterwards, like, you know, moving on, your body stores THC and other chemicals like that in your fat cells. So it's like, you know, you might try to snap out of the haze, you know, the lethargic feeling and the withdrawals for myself by doing physical exercise, you know, going for a run, and by eating healthy. You know, you're trying to counteract, trying to make it through these withdrawal symptoms, and then because your body stores the THC in fat, then your body starts like as it uses the fat, it releases the THC, and you get high again. And it's just like, it takes so much time. It's such a process to get high, and then be done getting high, and then to stop getting high, and then to go through withdrawals, and then have that insomnia, and then allow your body to slowly, you know, get rid of the THC that's in you, and then to metabolize whatever is there, and then to finally come to a place where you're thinking clearly again, and you don't have that tightness in here, and that you aren't addicted to something, and you're not doing all of those things that are associated with getting high, like the eating and the zoning out and whatever other compulsive or impulsive things that you might do when you're on that substance. And then, yeah, I mean, so to me, it's just not worth it. I don't know how I used to do it. I think I've caused myself so much suffering. I think I've suffered so much as a result of this, you know. And I've heard people refer to marijuana as insidious, right? Because it is like, it's this thing that, you know, there's every reason to smoke weed. It's like, it's raining out, it's sunny out, we're at the top of a hill, we're at the bottom of a hill, we're snowboarding, we're skateboarding, we're swimming, we're at the beach, you know, it's late at night, it's you know, early in the morning, I'm having a coffee, like just every, and it's like become a popular thing, like with culture these days, and you can buy it everywhere, and the government's pushing it right now, and it's just like, I don't know, I really disagree with it. I think it yeah, I think, you know, it's a pandemic, you know, because people treat it like it's okay, and it's just like, it ain't no better than vaping or drinking or doing any other drugs. Like, it can really screw a person up and really waste a lot of you can waste a lot of your own time, and you can really spin your wheels and just throw your life away. And it's not cool. There's nothing cool about throwing your life away. It's only cool amongst other people who are addicted to it themselves, who don't want to look at the negative side of it, right? I don't really know what the positive side is. The positive side, I would say, is it is a medicine that can be used, can be worked with to treat certain energetic imbalances. Like, say, if a person is really, say, worried about something, or like feeling emotional, it can help to bring the energy up. In the same way that alcohol will bring energy down. When somebody has anxiety, it can bring it down. When somebody is worried, it brings it up. So there is a way to work with medicine, and of course it can be worked with in a ceremonial sense, like, in a very reverent way, in a way that's very mindful and not as a substance that is used for getting high. Of course that's possible, but I mean, how often is that the case? And I have to be honest, it has not been the case with me. There have been times, I used to sit and play my handpan, and when I would smoke some weed, because it would put me into the moment, and I would just go bananas on it, because I would be fully present with this thing, and I would be out of my head. I wouldn't be thinking about it. I would just be so, like, inspired to just do this. And what Bashar says is it's just showing you what an ability that you always have. Like, it's not like it's giving you the ability. This is a window, it's letting you see something. And yeah, I mean, and I used to drink coffee and smoke weed and go for a run, and I would have so much fun with that caffeine in my system, and with the weed, because it was like focus, and I would run really fast, and I wouldn't be thinking about anything other than exactly what I was doing. I wouldn't even be thinking about running. I would just be going through the motions, going through the movements, and I would be so free, and like nothing would hurt, because I'm not like thinking about it, and I'm not like paying attention to stuff, and it kind of numbs you as well. And it's why you can like smoke weed and go to the gym and stuff like that. It is a performance enhancing substance, right? I mean, and it is a plant teacher, and it is a medicine, and it's yeah, if you abuse it, it'll teach you a lesson. And yeah, this video is about, I think I've learned my lesson. It took 3 decades for me to learn that abusing a plant teacher such as that is a bad idea. There are ramifications for doing so. You're asking for it. So yeah, that's what I think.